The New York Rangers have made multiple surprising moves ahead of their next game, and we have multiple other New York Rangers updates to go over today, including some shocking comments from coach Peter Laviolette on some of the lineup decisions and how this will affect the team moving forward as the schedule does not get any lighter and does not get any easier. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest, but before we do that, we have a very exciting announcement to make as it is that time of year. We're kicking off a March Madness bracket for the channel. We've partnered with the Hot Takes app and other digest channels for this event. It's completely free to sign up. Just download the Hot Takes app, click the March Madness banner at the top, and under groups, select the Digest Media pool. This is really exciting as there's over $25,000 in prizes to be won, and since there's a much smaller pool of people participating, there's a real chance to win big. So check out the link below in the pinned comment or the description, or scan the QR code on your screen to download the app, and make sure to use promo code DIGEST. It is cap sensitive, so DIGEST in all caps to get some exclusive perks when signing up. The main event round starts on March 16th, and if you have any trouble signing in, there is an email in the description that you can email for help, and we'll get you some help to log in. Thank you again to Hot Takes for partnering with us on this incredible opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you all in the Digest Media pool for your March Madness bracket. So thank you once again to the Hot Takes app for partnering with us on this exciting opportunity. And again, the promo code is DIGEST. It is cap sensitive, so DIGEST in all caps, and we look forward to seeing you and your March Madness brackets. But let's get right into it. The Rangers were skating this morning ahead of their next game against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. The schedule does not get any better for the New York Rangers. They did themselves absolutely no favors last weekend, but let's get right into some of the changes or lack thereof. And we also have another injury update on Adam Fox we're going to get to in just a few minutes. But power play 1 is unchanged, and we're going to get to power play 2 in a second. But Jones is still quarterbacking. Zach Jones is still quarterbacking the first power play unit. I like it. I think he's been doing pretty well with the opportunity he's been given. A lot of people thought that he was given the opportunity to showcase him for a trade at the trade deadline. That came and went. He's still on the team. So they are giving him this opportunity. They're playing him more. He's playing a ton of minutes. And obviously Panarin's up there. He has 5 goals in his last 5 games. Zibanejad, JT, and Kreider is back in the lineup as well. And we're going to get into the lines and the lineup in just a second because some interesting decisions made by Peter Laviolette, I have to say. Did not expect some of them. But power play 2, K'Andre Miller, I guess, Alexi Lafreniere. Johnny Brodzinski is on the second power play unit. He's been playing very well as of late. And Vincent Trocheck, and of course, Will Cooley there as well. Now, if you take a look at the lines at this morning's morning skate, this is what is projected to start today against the Winnipeg Jets. So you got your first line, which isn't any different than we had the last little while. Same with the second line, Cooley, Miller, Zibanejad, and we're going to get to Miller and Zibanejad in a second as well. But your third line is Chris Kreider coming in for Brett Berard, as he did last game. Or, Chris Kreider came in, Brett Berard was also in last game. But Brett Berard gets scratched again. I'm going to get to that in a second as well. Sam Carrick, Arthur Kaliev. We have not seen Arthur Kaliev in a while. He's checking into the lineup as well. And the fourth line is essentially untouched, which is a good thing because they've been great together. So like that, then obviously on the defense pairings, you got Miller, Borgen again, Vakanainen and Schneider, who have struggled, so I'm looking for a big game from them, and Susie Jones. So Jones getting the opportunity on power play 1. Now, let's dissect some of these lines. Why is Brett Berard out of the lineup? Like, we'll get to a quote from Peter Laviolette in a second. Why is Brett Berard not playing on this team right now? He's been playing fantastic. He has every single game that he's been in the NHL this year. And again, he's not in this lineup. I find that a little weird. I find it that they're not giving themselves the best chance to win. Chris Kreider hasn't been that bad, but then you put Artur Kaliev in, and when they first got Artur Kaliev, and I was, big supporter of that move, picking him up off waivers, he has played well, but he hasn't played in a while, so you're going to play him over Brett Berard. I know it's going to be a heavier game, but if you take a look at his stats so far this season, he's only played in 13 games. He has 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. He scored a big goal in their last meeting against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he's still relatively young. He's not playing that much, but he's going to check into the third line tonight. I'm looking for a big physical game from him, because if you're going to keep Brett Berard out, who's he's a smaller guy, but still plays with an edge, still brings that physicality and skates very well, this guy is going to have a big game, or going to have a big game if you're keeping, obviously, Brett Berard out of the lineup. So this is from Vince Mercogliano as well. Feels like Berard keeps getting the short end of the stick here, even though it looks like he's making a lot of positive things happen when he does play. And I think it's a result of him being a young player and Peter Laviolette being the coach. We are starting to see a pattern here. I think that has something to do with it. Before we get into the comments from Peter Laviolette, thought this was very interesting from the morning skate before we wrap up with the morning skate stuff. JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad chatting it up. They were chatting it up on the bench last game. They've been talking a lot since JT Miller has come over to New York. I think it's a good thing. He's talking to Mika. This is where I want you, and how can we make things happen? Because we got to get going here if this team has any chance. And Mika's been playing very well since the turn of the new year, honestly, and also more specifically since February 1st. He's been playing really well. So need him to continue up that pace, and we need better team defense if this team has any shot of making the playoffs. And yes, I'm going to keep bringing up the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, and probably a return closer to the playoffs, Adam Fox. He was skating around on the ice this morning, which is a good sign. He went for a little twirl, as Vince says here, but he is in a non-contact jersey, so it looks like he's still a ways away from returning, which we were expecting. That was the report at first, but it looks like he is making some progress. He's actually on the ice, and he's skating with the guys at morning skate to keep the morale up. I think that's a good thing, and it's nice to see him back on the ice. Now, to get to some interesting comments from Peter Laviolette, more specifically on Brett Berard and the decision to scratch him. It's 12 forwards that can go in, and so it's tough. But he's a young player. There it is right there. It's because he's a young player. I had a feeling that's why he was out of the lineup, and I know it's probably going to be a more physical game tonight as well. You can see the energy. We talk with him, work with him on the game and the defensive part of it to try and continue to grow his game and improve his game, but you got to love his fire and his energy that he brings, and that he does. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of fire. He brings the physicality, even though he's a smaller guy. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and I think that he can be a big part of this team moving forward. So don't like the fact that he's being held out of this game because he's a young player, it seems like at this point. Maybe some defensive lapses as well, but we will see if the decision pays off. Now, comments from Lavi on Artur Kaliev before we wrap up here. Thought this was pretty interesting as well. He's played some good hockey for us. It's just consistency inside of that. I think when you got young players, because he is a young player, he's only 23 years old. Let's not forget that Artur Kaliev is still a young player. It's about the consistency. He's been practicing hard, and we've lost a few in a row here. So it's a good opportunity to slip him back in, change things up. I don't mind that mindset. I really don't. I just don't know about keeping Brett Berard out, but nonetheless, the last game he came in, I think it was in Columbus. I believe he's correct. And he scored a big goal for us. I thought maybe that was his best game. And that was a big game for the Rangers, and they needed that win. Imagine looking back now if they had lost that game too. And Artur Kaliev scored a huge goal in that game. So some very interesting lineup decisions tonight going into the game. Obviously, those are your bottom six there for tonight. It's Kreider, Carrick, and Kaliev on the third line. I wonder what they're going to be able to cook up. But obviously, I think the onus and most of the pressure is going to be on the top two lines, as it always is, and as it should be, because they are making the most money. So it should be interesting to see what happens tonight. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.